It's a very simple exercise. It's nothing fancy, and that's the main challenge behind getting good at anything, I believe, is really clinging to the basics. You can never forget the basics. Anybody that's a master at anything, anybody that is good at anything, never gives up on the first things they learned when they started working on something. So that's actually my favorite exercise because it warms up very basic tools that I need, to play blast beats, thrash beats, double bass, bomb blasts, whatnot. Another one that I call it a blast builder. And it's silly, but again, all of my workouts are silly. I kind of consider most of my stuff silly to begin with. So, I'm not going to talk about it, I'm just going to do it because I think I'm better at playing than talking. So check this out. Okay. Again, it starts with it's basically the same warm-up. The point here is, it almost kind of tricks your brain into not recognizing the differences between the sound sources, because anybody, well not anybody, but most people can do this. 16th notes on the feet, 8ths on the bottom. However, it gets tough when you split the roll up into two different sound sources. For example, one sound source, and then two sound sources. So, I find it interesting, or I find it easy to be able to play a simple snare roll and then just move my right hand, or left hand if you're a left-handed player, to whichever sound source, which is going to turn it into a blast beat or a field, or whatever you want. In my particular case, I'm trying to work on what is considered a European 2-foot blast. So when I really wanted to start working on this and pushing the tempo, so work for the origin songs, that's kind of what I was doing. And I would move my right hand from the snare drum to the rim, to the floor tom, eventually to the ride. Yeah, I considered taking baby steps, and it was easier for me to kind of untie the things that kept my hands tied together because of the alternate sound sources. So you went with a blast beat. Another thing, as far as developing blast beats, is when you consider the evolution of extreme drumming, I guess it starts in rock, coming from rock into punk, into, hardcore, into thrash metal goes into death metal. What's a blast beat? It's a sped up thrash beat, right? In theory it is, but it seems to me that when you play a thrash beat, you really lean into the cymbals, it helps with the beat, you get into things like, it's really cymbal heavy, and I think when a lot of guys get, like a lot of guys in the old Napalm Death days, Repulsion days, Discharge, all these old bands where they actually started to get into what was considered a blast beat, they were really pushing on that cymbal just like you would do in old thrash beats. And it worked really nicely for grindcore. It worked great for napalm death. But you know, you would watch these guys just and really throwing their body out of whack. Lately, now that you got guys that are well over 250 BPM, I actually kind of learned this from Derek Roddy, that the best thing to be able to do is not rely on that cymbal hand. You really want to make a machine out of your kick and your snare, turn it into a linear roll. So you want to start training that and almost take the cymbal out. And so what I started doing is using my knee as my cymbal. I would end up with this. There's no cymbal. The idea was to train my brain to be able to rely on just the kick and the snare. And after a while, when I could develop that, I ended up with that allows you to orchestrate different cymbal hits, different things. It makes the blasting a little more interesting, and it also makes it a little more straight, a little more solid. It makes it easier for the guitar player to follow. So I end up, with things like for me, it's a bit more melodic, and it's a bit more interesting. A lot of guys would rather just play straight 16th notes all the way through, and that's fine, and I do that as well. But for me, it's nice to have a little more texture. So, being able to separate those limbs like that makes things easy and fun. Okay, I'm going to play a couple more songs because we're running out of time. You guys want to hear an origin song? Like 2 or 3 origin songs.
Aquí mi camarada, John. En este evento se está rifando esa batería, ¿no? Y los boletos que entraron.